Welcome back. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to talk about rare Satoshis.
Rare sats, dude. Sattributes, whatever you want to call them. We've been hearing about this for a little bit now. Actually, since we first looked at the Casey Rodimer explanation with the Ordinals system, he kind of had a
he did.
He had his own Rarity implementation into this stuff.
Uncommon. There's common, uncommon.
Do we have that pulled up?
Rare.
You could probably find it. It was part of, I don't know if it was technically like a white paper or not, but it was part of the documentation as far as what are ordinals. And he has classifications of rarity, which is actual, it made sense. He distinguished some very rare events in Bitcoin's life cycle.
Yeah. Past,
present, and future. And gave those events some sort of tier of rarity. So here it is. This is the first time. It's kind of overlooked this. This wasn't really why Ordinals was really cool.
Yeah. Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel? We also built MetaZone, the first app store for the metaverse. Buy, sell, and explore a new class of digital assets like our flagship game Rovi.ai. Support us by collecting your digital assets through MetaZone at metazone.io. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated. All right, back to the video.
This is just that's neat. There's some rare sats out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it starts with common, any sat that is not the first sat of its block.
Yeah.
So basically most Satoshis.
Yeah, most.
Yeah.
It's 100 mil. Wait, literally the first sat?
It's any sat that is not the first one.
Okay.
Of the block.
Okay.
Uncommon is the first sat of each block.
Okay.
Okay. Rare, the first sat of each difficulty adjustment period. Mm-hmm. So that happens every roughly 2,000 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Epic, the first sat of each halving epic. So that happens every 6 halving periods.
How many have we seen so far?
3.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So these don't exist yet.
Yeah. So the first sat of an epic happens in 2032.
Wow. Okay.
Legendary, the first sat of each cycle. Oh, hold on. I'm confusing these.
Are you?
Sorry. Halvings happen every 210,000 blocks, and this is considered an epic.
Okay. So right now, roughly, we're around 700,000 to 800,000 blocks. So there's been how many? That means there's been 3 halvings, like you said. So there's 3 epics out there in circulation.
That's correct.
Okay.
Legendary is the first sat of each cycle. So a cycle is every 6 halvings.
Okay. Something
magical happens. A halving and the difficulty adjustment coincide. This is called a conjunction. And the time period between conjunctions is a cycle. A conjunction occurs roughly every 24 years.
Damn.
The first conjunction should happen sometime in 2032.
I can't imagine the fiasco that's going to be.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be just going mad with their inscriptions, right? Trying to get into that block.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you do, dude, that's I don't know. I don't know how valuable that's going to be interpreted. But
you know who gets those Bitcoin in that happening or in that conjunction period?
Who?
The miners.
Oh.
Wow. So if you are an inscriptor, you got to talk to those miners. Whoever miner won that block, they won the lottery.
I got you.
That Bitcoin's not worth what that Bitcoin's worth in 2032. It could be $1 million. Per Bitcoin
or more. Hopefully more.
Yeah. And if it is, then each Bitcoin is not really worth $1 million. It's worth more.
Yeah.
And so that's a lottery.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And literally, winning a block on Bitcoin's blockchain is like winning a lottery. You're guessing a number.
Yeah, but this is going to be something else.
Yeah, this is as fair as it gets now that I really think about it. This whole distribution process of Bitcoin. This is really cool. So Mythic, the first sat of the Genesis block. So
obviously only Satoshi has that one, right?
Yeah, correct. So let's take a look at the numbers. All right, so here's what's in total supply, and then here's what in current supply. So total supply of commons, 2.1 quadrillion.
Wow.
Uncommon, almost 7 million. Rare, 34, 37. Epic, 32. Legendary, 5. And 1 mythic, which is owned by Satoshi.
So the current supply...
1.9 quadrillion. That's a lot. That's a lot of quadrillions.
Yeah.
Uncommon, 745,000.
See, that's a more reasonable number. This whole uncommon... once we get into how this rare sat thing is being leveraged now, I feel that class of rarity is going to probably be the thing most accessible to a larger population of people, because
Yeah.
745, that's still a big number, but it's still rare enough
Right.
to attribute some kind of additional value to.
Yeah, but this
to
is
an
from the
asset.
current supply, right? So
Right.
max supply is around 7 million.
Well, yeah,
So
but
10x.
but also the current supply of like inscriptions in total is like roughly 10 to 12 million or something. So I mean, it's like less
Okay,
than
yeah.
less than 10%. That's something, right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's something. Yeah, something to strive for.
So rare, 369 available. Epic 3. There's been 3 happenings, therefore there's 3 epics.
Yeah.
No legendaries because the first one happens in 2032, and then of course the one mythic.
Which will never ever.
Yeah, it's locked
Ever-
up forever.
Yeah.
All right.
This is interesting. So yeah, I remember going over that. We just kind of like glanced at it, like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
We didn't think anything like somebody was gonna figure out a way to utilize this. Right?
Yeah, and this comes from the ordinal theory by Casey Rodimer.
Yeah.
He just said, let's assign like a nomenclature to all of Satoshi's,
The sats, right?
the sats.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, once you do that, then you start figuring out, I was like, oh, these are pretty rare because they only happen once every epic or once every cycle or whatever. Okay, so now we have the Bitcoin community, Leonidas.
Yeah.
And they're inscribing pictures onto these rare Satoshis.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons, right? So obviously the ordinal theory worked out pretty well.
Yes.
After it was unveiled to the world, we have, like I said, more than 10 million inscriptions.
Yeah, the ordinal theory made Bitcoin so cool
Yeah.
that Peter Schiff is now a Bitcoiner.
He's a convert, dude.
Yeah.
Converted me as well.
Yes.
I'm not as bad as Peter Schiff, but
Yeah.
I definitely had no interest in this Bitcoin ecosystem up until this.
Shocking, dude.
I'm all in now, dude. It's fascinating what's happening with this space, right? It just continues to evolve. And then here we are, another example of now the zeitgeist of the ordinal ecosystem is shifting a little bit more towards this rarity stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure out a way to inject some of these rare sats into our market of inscriptions, and let's see how what does that do to the value of these things, right? That's worthy attempt, worthy experiment, right?
Yeah.
So here you go, Leonidas. Ord.io is his platform, and this seems to be one of the first platforms that's really kind of recognizing these rare sattributes, is what they're calling them, and having them on display, right? That way you could kind of like know which of these JPEGs have this added potential value to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's saying OMB, which is what? Ordinal.
Maxi Biz is a project, just like your typical JPEG,
Yeah.
Profile picture,
Yeah.
PFP project.
Yeah. So Ordinal Maxi Biz just jumped to a 4.45 Bitcoin floor. So we're going to take a look at it in a second.
I remember looking at that like a month or two ago, and it was like 0.2 Bitcoin back then. So
Yeah.
this is a pretty significant pow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's 20x.
It's pretty big. It's a big one.
Yeah. Okay, so here is another tweet. Rare Sat Season. Ordi, which is his project, Ordi.io. It appears that the team behind Inscribed Pepe just stealth inscribed 420 Pepes on uncommon sats.
So that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I think the uncommon category, because there's only like roughly 700,000 of them. You should leverage those. If you're doing like an inscription project, PFP, whatever, more than likely the market's probably going to expect like there's enough supply, even though the market has to find these things, right? And somebody has to supply these uncommon sats.
Yeah.
There's enough out there, I think, in acquisition reach to at least give these things more value.
So let's kind of paint the picture here. So let's say you're holding a Bitcoin. Within that Bitcoin, you might have a rare sat.
Right.
It might be a rare sat so rare that it came from block 9.
Yeah, which the reason why people are perceiving that as valuable is that's
it's the first transaction that has nothing that I think Satoshi sent to Hal.
I don't know if I think that's a different block.
It might be.
I think block 9 is literally just like the only block that's outside of the reach of like Satoshi or something like that. It was
like someone else mined it or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities as far as like the Bitcoin you're holding. It's not like you hold a Bitcoin like it contains all the sats that it had when it was first minted.
Correct.
You hold it just like a whole pool of individual sats
Yes.
that make up the value of a Bitcoin.
Correct.
Or,
Correct.
Who knows where these sats came from?
Yeah, so that's why I bring that up. It's like there's got to be some way to discover, which sats you have and which blocks they came from.
Yeah.
And so, that's not quite clear how some of these people are doing that, but it can be done.
It is being done.
Yeah. All right. So next tweet here says, now that Leo spilled the beans and told CZ he has 10,000 uncommon sats in the Binance wallet, you need to start hunting rare sats now because Binance gets their act together. Exchanges and miners will absolutely monopolize rare sats only once they catch up. So basically, now it's basically putting everyone on notice, like start looking for these rare sats. So this is a few days ago.
Yeah, just keep reading on this thread,
What are rare sats? We talked about that. Came from Rotomore, vintage, historic transaction sats, and notable serial number sats. You can read more about Casey's Rarity Index here. And
so this kind of gives you right here. This is he's explaining what the real pros, sat hunters, the whales, they're playing this game now amongst themselves of sending large batches of Bitcoin back and forth between these exchanges to try and find, new pools of sats to kind of like sift through. Think of it as it's like, in the old days of the gold rush, you're just literally sitting there like with your little sifter, like into like the rivers and stuff. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
You're just looking for gold all day long, dude.
Yeah.
So there's literally like a weird little gold rush happening like underground.
Yeah.
And they're right. Like right now it's a very exclusive club, but once I guess like the bigger whales catch wind of this, they might, take some measures to prevent it from leaving their hands,
Yeah, so here's a link in that tweet thread. It says, the only tool to scan real-time for unique sats. For more information or unique sats and why they're available, visit the FAQ.
Yeah.
So you type in your Bitcoin address and you see how many rare sats you have.
What a useful tool, dude.
Yeah.
And you're right. Look, they're using UTXOs. Like
100%. That's how it works. That's what you were saying earlier. Your one Bitcoin contains UTXOs from all these different blocks throughout the chain of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so you could have a rare sat or you could not. It's likely you don't because we're talking about probabilities here.
Yeah. So as we said, this is what's happening, right? There's a weird rush going on for these rare sats that are out there in the Bitcoin universe. And they're being leveraged by projects now to, again, append some sort of new value perception to these digital assets, right?
Yes.
So Ordinals, like we said, is the first platform that we've seen that's actually integrating this, these attributes as part of their
part of their interface
display. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the homepage, and click on sattributes. You can click on uncommon, rare, and start looking for different images on these inscriptions.
Yeah.
And then we look at OMBs.
Yeah, we found like literally the mecca. If you're considering these things to be of value, then this is without a doubt like the most valuable of I guess inscriptions, because it has literally all the most rare attributes.
Right.
Right. And I guess the rarest of them all is this block 9 one, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's among the rare because block 9 still has 50 Bitcoin. That's 5 billion Satoshi.
So that's the
on
thing.
block 9.
So that's the thing we haven't really discussed. It's like right now these things are obviously perceived as rare because the objective, I guess, difficulty of acquiring these sats and then leveraging them for these types of inscriptions right now it's not like a huge market, right? So there's not a lot of these things in circulation.
Such a good point, because even though there's 5 billion of these block 9 Satoshis, they might be locked up in some bunker by Coinbase.
Yeah. And
you could never touch them for the most part.
That's true.
And so there might be only 10,000 or 100,000 of these.
But still, considering like, how oversupplied, like you're talking 5 billion versus like how many inscriptions exist. In theory, like there's more than enough block 9 sats to go around.
Yeah, it just really depends on who has them locked up and how locked up are they really.
Exactly. So there's a little bit of like this is actually obviously very interesting. This is really cool to see. I was kind of hoping like we'd see something like this on the Ethereum side to NFTs, but in a different version of this.
Yeah.
Just like a way to append additional value layers to NFTs, right? Not just like the art itself.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening here. And they're leveraging existing data to do that.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. So imagine the 50 Bitcoin. If you were holding 50 Bitcoin, right, from Block 9, the whole thing, right, you have 5 billion of these rare sats, and someone goes to you and say, hi man, I'll buy those 50 Bitcoin off of you. I'll give you like $1 billion.
Yeah.
Because they could probably make a ton more money off of that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you consider that?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. So how locked up are they really? You know?
Oh, I see. Well, that's the thing. That's the theory. Once the real giga whales of this Bitcoin ecosystem catch wind of this, then that's probably the expectation. They're going to actually be a little more selective on like what sats they allow to leave their grasp, right? Because if a market does form around this as like being a main value add to these inscription markets, you know, because we know there's going to be way more than 10 million inscriptions in the future. There's going to be probably billions at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, like these rarity implementations are going to matter a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, come on, think about the nature of how humans have collected things throughout all of history. Like, people want rare stuff. People want old stuff. You know, the older, the better.
Yeah.
So if you're getting sats from like the oldest moments in Bitcoin's history of the chain history, like 40, 50, 60, 100 years from now, you're going to pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder, is there any statistics on how many NFTs exist on like on Ethereum? And
I think it's like 450 million. I think last I looked.
450 million, and
so
that's
like
only
halfway
like
to a billion point.
6 or 7 years of NFTs.
Yeah, that's it. So like within 10 years, we're gonna hit a billion for sure.
Easy.
Yeah, and then by then, like you're saying, there's only 5 billion in theory block 9, right?
Yeah.
But how many of them are actually unlockable? We don't know. Assume it's like less than 10%.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things. Is like we don't. Obviously, it's very difficult now. So the next tweets are from. Let's see. Who found block 9 sats? Well, this is the sat hunter who did. Nolish. I recommend everybody check out his Twitter profile, and kind of like read through his history to see how he did it.
Interesting.
You could see 2 months ago he started his journey for block 9 satoshis.
Yeah.
And then like just recently, a week ago or so, he's like, "Oh, I found him. I got him."
Yeah.
You know?
That's interesting. All right. So Nullish. Okay, so we got congrats to Nullish on having not just one, but 2 of the most traded collections in the past 24 hours. So you were saying is Nullish responsible for OMBs?
No, but he's just responsible for uncovering, I guess, the sats that OMB is now inscribing on top of.
All right, so there's a collaboration happening here.
There's a collaboration, and there's a little bit of like a speculative component to this. Is the hunter, however he's getting his hands on these super, super, super rare sats.
Yeah.
He's got collections out there.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's just acknowledge that, be aware of it. And look what happened to OMBs once they announced it to everyone. Like, we have the rarest sats, part of our collection. So,
so he's got the 2 other collections: the Final Pattern and Distortion Genesis.
Yeah, you can go to Ordinal Hub right here. All these links will be in the description. So, I mean, this is definitely a rabbit hole we're just scratching the surface on. It reminds me a lot of finding BRC20s in the beginning. Like, it's just a whole new market within a market, you know?
Yeah.
And this is a little bit obviously more geared towards the like NFT inscription side. Yeah. Which is always difficult to find. You know, that's always been our problem. Like, we didn't really cover the NFT sector much on this channel because it was tough to kind of figure out like which of these art pieces are going to be really valuable.
Yeah.
How do you figure that out?
Yeah, it's a function of like influence, the
culture,
provenance of the artist.
Yeah, like the persistency of like just pushing whatever narrative it is that they push out, and then of course community backing it.
Yeah,
who knows, whatever.
There's so many like
forces,
nebulous angles.
Right, so that was like a market we kind of like strayed away from. It's like it's really tough to distinguish between, you know, just art, what's going to be valuable, what's not, you know. But now they're injecting something a little more of like quantifiable. Yeah. Like something that actually has some tangible value to them, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. For sure.
That contributes to this inscription. It makes inscriptions to me seem much more collectible than just regular old NFTs.
Yeah.
You know?
On the biggest chain, the most secure chain.
Yeah, too. They already had that going for them.
Yeah.
But now we're appending new value layers to things that people already intuitively like, which is art.
Yeah.
Like, this is big, dude. Shout out to the Ordinals community, man. You guys are doing it, man.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. All right, so that's been Rare Sats. We got OMBs. Make sure you follow Nullish and Leonidas and Trevor. Yeah, this is very, very informative threads here by these guys. I don't know. What do you think, dude? Should we be looking for Rare Sats? Should we check our wallets and stuff?
Oh, well, I don't have much Bitcoin really to sift through, to be honest. So I would be done in like 10 minutes. But so I guess maybe it's worth a shot. Maybe I'll just be super lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that's a little unclear to me, maybe somebody in the comments can help us understand. If you find one of these rare sats, then what do you do with it? How do you is there like a buyer of these things? How do you send an individual sat unit to somebody else?
You can do that. So the way you do that is you have to leverage one of the existing Bitcoin wallets that have like an advanced feature.
Oh, okay.
And that advanced feature allows you to move particular UTXOs.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a little bit of like an added step of technicality.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's why I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right, guys. All the links will be in the description. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone.io, and at Roby AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.